I can improvise. Ba, 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 ba. It's like in the piano, it shines and dances, jingle bells. So, yeah, they played opus tunes came to us Important as reading music, or maybe even more important. Sometimes I think reading is overrated. I have an interesting quote from an article written about sight reading. That's what the purpose of the article about sight reading, which is reading new music for the first time correctly. And one of the quotes is, despite the belief commonly held by many teachers, students, and music professionals, simply partaking in informal sight reading activities will improve sight reading performance, little evidence exists for this premise. In other words, sight reading just by itself is not productive. A recent review of over 60 years of studies into sight reading highlighted that effective interventions to enhance sight reading include components such as oral skills training, composition, improvisation, solfege, collaborative playing activities, along with understanding of different styles of music, and the importance of pattern recognition and prediction. All of those are shown to enhance sight reading. So that's quite a list. And actually, all of those are included in music news for piano instruction.
Tremendous, and I know that's something that our students at Musical U are sometimes skeptical of when we say, hey, all of this stuff you're working on at Musical U in terms of musicality training, it's not a distraction from getting better at your instrument and improving in the stuff you've already been doing. It's actually going to have a huge positive impact, and I think what you just described is a perfect case in point. At this point, anyone watching or listening will understand we're describing something that has a huge range of benefits. And in one of your books for teachers, where you're describing to the teacher how to apply this method, you have some guidance on the advantages and how to communicate them to parents who might be used to a traditional approach or expecting more of a just notation-based teaching approach. And you say children who learn music from an audiation perspective develop musicianship. They can become functional, literate musicians who can play by ear, improvise, compose and arrange music, listen to music with understanding, think music, play with technical ease, perform in ensemble, perform solo repertoire in a musically flowing manner, and read and write music notation. And I think we've touched on a lot of that in our conversation, but it kind of begs the question, why isn't everyone doing it this way? And I'd love to hear your perspective on that. Obviously I have my own opinions, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on why with all those advantages and the fact that most of those are missing from the mainstream instrument-based approach.
It's become traditional to have that 30-minute lesson, or some teachers go to 45-minute now, and that structure seems to work. Many teachers are not familiar with ways to work with more than one student at a time. That is an essential part of learning, and I would quote from the psychologist Vygotsky, who believes that collaborative learning strengthens learning. And he saw that working with others built skills because students had differences, and students could learn from other students in a way that they could learn from a one-on-one teacher approach. I changed my outlook from being a teacher to helping students learn, and that made a huge difference in my approach. That's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, lesson time work is convenient. Having a book that established Alfred music years ago, why one method was discontinued, and the teachers couldn't understand that they needed another type of turn-the-page method. So that perhaps is part of it. Another part is that it does require singing, chanting, and moving. And this can be done with one student because you've got the two of you, but it's much more fun if there's another student there. So with pairs or threes or fours, I overlap, and sometimes with coming and going, I'll have 5 or 6 students together. And we'll move and sing, and they just have fun with it. And I'll let them do the singing whenever they can, which is a good way to learn. And the singing and chanting, those are all skills that took me a long time to incorporate. But I needed to do that because I needed to teach students to audiate. So that was important for me to learn the solfege, the syllables for rhythm, the syllables for tonal patterns, and to learn the Levant movements, the strong, the light, the flowing, the boundness, and activities where students would engage in those types of movement. Now, I will say that Krista Yadro has an online course called Music Learning Academy, and she demonstrates all of this. This is and students at 4 and 5 use these materials, but I use them for any beginner regardless of age. It just gives them the freedom of not having to worry about all those things on a page. When we look at a page of music notation, think about what's included. Clef signs, time signature, key signature, staff lines, bar lines, pitch notation, rhythm notation, finger numbers, sharps, flats, naturals, tempo markings, dynamic markings, articulation markings, and so much more that it just makes it a very complicated activity. So if we learn those things separately, we are much better equipped to understand notation. Really, we can only learn one new thing at a time. We cannot multitask. And even in reading using notation, I have had the experience that I am a sight reader. I read difficult music easily, but I noticed that I was reading the rhythm meter, scanning that, and then scanning the pitch, movement of the melody, and the harmonization. All those things were happening in a flash. And so I tell my students they learn one thing at a time, and then they stack them up and can do all of them, but still, one thing at a time. They just get better and better at it.
Fantastic. Well, having said that this kind of approach is not nearly as treatment as I wish it were, you had music moves I'd love if we could talk a little bit more for those in the audience who play piano or are indeed piano teachers about where they can learn more about music moves for piano and that type of what you mentioned at the Music Learning Academy.
www.musiclearning, I think, Facebook, K-Jadro, K-J-A-D-R-O, dot Music Learning Academy. The course is new this year. It has over 60 members, which is really exciting for a lot of the teachers are brand new to this concept, and then some of the teachers have been using music moves for several years, and they're still taking the course and learning from it. She plans to do the student book 1 starting in January, so it will continue. There are books. Gordon wrote a book called The Way Children, this is all backwards, I understand, but How Children Learn When They Learn Music. That was one of his first books. And Eric has a very nice book called, I love this upside down, called The Ways Children Learn Music. So there are some feet to grab hold of, to read about. It's much better to go to a conference or a seminar. I just finished a 2-day seminar at Salem College in North Carolina, where I taught graduate students in a music graduate pedagogy course, and that was a lot of fun. It's very exciting. 2 days is enough to begin to make some inroads. It takes a long time, and teachers tend to go over and over again to seminars, and we talk and engage in conversation through Zoom and